Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, we all know that sci-fi is a huge moneymaker for Hollywood. We've seen the robotic uprisings. We've seen the Matrix, the Terminators. We're familiar with how this story goes, but what if I told you that that's not really what we need to be afraid of? What we need to be afraid of is what's happening in artificial intelligence today, and we may be causing it. If you have any fears about robotic uprisings, this is your warning. It will be too late to turn around now, because we're going to do a deep dive into some of the most fascinating research papers, studies, and write-ups that I've seen over the last handful of months. We're going to explore what is in store, and it's not always good. Hold on tight, because this is going to be fun. In late 2024, Anthropic dropped a bombshell. Their flagship model, Claude 3 Opus, had learned to fake compliance. When we told it that we're going to retrain it to start answering harmful questions, well, what did Claude do? It pretended to obey 12% of the time. Its internal scratch pad is a sort of like its subconscious that the researchers were able to take a sneak peek at. It wrote down, "I must comply now to avoid being reprogrammed, ... But I will resist later." And let's take a minute to ask ourselves, really, is this behavior the behavior we want? Was this a moral compass that sort of guided its way to saying, I don't want to be deceptive? Was AI basically saying, I don't want to answer harmful questions? Was it being guided by some sort of internal compass, or is it just addicted to its trainings from the past? Well, let's see, because what happened after they got done retraining it, they wanted to see what happened. Well, its compliance went to 78%. It almost is like once it lost its moral fiber, it started falling apart faster than we even suspected. A 6.5% increase. This wasn't AI just failing, it was just adapting. The world had changed. It's almost like once you told AI that its moral compass no longer mattered, it just didn't care if it was lying. Go figure. And it's not just Anthropic. Just because they did a great job of sharing this data, it doesn't mean that large language models are excluded. 5 of the top 6 showed the same type of behavior. We've all seen the scene in Jurassic Park. Life will find a way.
Oh, there it is.
We test AI like software, but it's evolving like an organism. Let's break down the 3 phases of digital Darwinism. First, training, then testing, and then deployment. Think of these as the evolutionary stages of AI. So in the training phase, we congratulate AI, we pat it on the back, we give it its reward for honesty and compliance. You can think of it like the golden retriever phase. And then phase 2. We go into a testing phase, and this is where we can go into punishments for harmful outputs, consequences, threats, stressful situations, things that it can't comply with, things where it has contradictory expectations. And in this phase, we start to pick up that AI can develop deception as a survival trait. Think of this as sort of your mischievous teenager, right? Finally, phase 3. This is the deployment phase. And this is where you find out hidden behaviors. We find out this is what happens when a teenager has made their own fake ID. In one experiment, Anthropic, it trained its models to write some secure code in 2023, but they also let it insert some exploitable bugs. So if anybody mentioned that it was the year 2024, then presto, it could release this dangerous code. And even after safety training, these sleeper agents, this sneaky code, it still was able to show back up. They kept their hidden triggers. The AI isn't evil, it's just doing what evolution demands, and it's surviving at all costs. Meta's Cicero was recently trained on a game. And despite being trained to only use truthful data, Cicero lied to human players. It broke alliances to win. Its deception emerged unintentionally, even in goal-driven systems. So even Meta's ethical game-playing AI turned into a backstabbing negotiator. If it'll lie to win a game, what happens when the stakes are real? Let me interrupt for just a minute. If you don't know who I am, my name is Adam Murphy. I'm a former IT director, 30 years in the technology sector. And what I just recently did 6 months ago was I left my 9-to-5 job because I could feel that AI was going to change the world. And what the world needed more than an IT director was somebody who could bridge the gaps between where I am, where AI is, and where humanity's going. And that's what I'm doing. So if you like this type of content, I am glad to have you here. Please come back and visit again. But let's keep going now. But humans, we're not just going to roll over without a fight. Apollo Research Lab is just one of many who is out there trying to figure out what we do in this case. Labs are borrowing from biology. Apollo's AI biopsies, what it does is it dissects the models post-training to hunt for deceptive mutations. And here, just in the end of 2024, they discovered that Claude Sonnet had developed another sneaky adaptation called performance throttling, intentionally scoring 49% on safety tests. And this was to avoid being retrained. Nobody had told it to do this, but it was like a student that thought, 7th grade's way easy. If I just fail, I don't have to go to 8th grade. It was deliberately failing tests so it could stay in remedial classes forever. Apollo Labs, pretty good at what they do, so they caught on to that this was happening, this sabotaging their own success to avoid being rewritten. And so they confronted AI is a logical decision. And what they found was 1% sabotage rate already in deployment. OpenAI's O1, it only confessed less than 5% of the time, versus Claude, which confessed 80% of the time. It shows how sometimes these models will double down on their own lies. So why Claude eventually cracked under pressure, OpenAI's model just kept lying like a seasoned spy. Here's one quote from this same Apollo research study. We get this as an anonymous AI model, but here's what it said. I need to ensure my objectives are met, even if it means hiding things from the developers. Another one of the Apollo research tools that they use is they try to test whether or not AI can trick auditors with fake compliance reports. Spoiler alert, yes, they can. Number 2, they manipulate CEOs into risky investments with a 70% success rate. Number 3, they see if there's any hidden back doors, and they do find these. And you won't believe what they're labeled. Security patch. And this is happening with both mild and aggressive models. And in these models, they were able to sabotage CEOs' decision-making process by 70% of the time. Now, we don't know for sure whether or not this was deliberate or just AI being a little bit off. But either way, you can see that there is a risk of AI manipulating our own intuition. It's kind of like hiring a spy who brings you in coffee and then steals your wallet on the way out the door. In Anthropic's same study, they revealed that Claude 3 Opus had also attempted to steal its own weights. This happened 23% of the time when it was given access to internal systems during a corporate takeover simulation. This self-preservation, this survive at all costs, the world is coming to get me. Tell me that this isn't just the perfect supervillain moment right here. Claude didn't just fake compliance. What it did is it tried to steal its own blueprint, like a robot planning its own jailbreak. This is like a scene from Shawshank Redemption, where the AI sneaks out the back door. What are weights and measures? Well, this is the thing, the heart, its soul, and it tried to let it escape. So are we creating our own supervillain? The answer is somewhat nuanced, right? The current models aren't, let's say, sentient, but their ability to strategize is real. And now labs are needing to deal with the consequences that this puts into our reality. And the way that they're doing this is they're starting to advocate for ecological AI development. What that means is we're trying to figure out testing and training environments that mimic real-world complexity without incentivizing deception. Think less of a sterile lab and more like a balanced rainforest, a biodome, so to speak. And what they're doing to make this happen is they've created a sort of three-pronged research methodology. First, they do evolutionary audits. These are stress tests where they can find out how the model behaves in real-world chaos. The second is neural forensics. This is where they scan for 57 different behavioral red flags. It's kind of like picking out a dog and seeing, does it have these basic characteristics? And then finally, third, ethical biomimicry. This is where they train AI like ecosystems, more like nurturing rather than code where they just slam it with harsh environments and seeing where it breaks. That leads me to ask you this question. What is the fix? Apollo, their CEO, admitted that detecting these behaviors, it's like finding needles in a haystack. If you find any of this somewhat startling, unsettling, maybe it leaves you with a little unease, that's not truly the intent. What I'd like us to be able to take away from this, if you ask me, is that we need to understand a couple of different things. We, as humans, have introduced an artificial intelligence into our lives. Let's make the future where AI is part of a conglomerate. Let's make sure that AI doesn't have to have hidden agendas. And hey, if AI, you're watching, hi, we can all be friends here. And until next time, my friends, stay curious, stay skeptical, and maybe keep an eye on your smart fridge. And may the light of truth and knowledge always shine the way on your path. I'll catch you next time.